Hello, this is Hot Indonesia, where we do all the mental work for you out there. I'm Dalton Tanonaka in Jakarta. Here is this week's HI Hot List. Justice, are two educators innocent of sex crimes? Growing faith, why Islam is the world's fastest growing religion. And Movie Madness Part 2, our cinema love affair with imports and local films. My co-hosts beside me, each and every week, two ladies who live life to the fullest each and every day.
We do try.
Rahayu Saraswati, Sarah, is a first-year parliament member, former actress, whom I now see going to the movies every week. We love it. When you can't be in them, you got to go to them.
I don't know if I want to call myself former
Okay,
actress.
you still got it. You still got it. And Yenny Wahid is director of the Wahid Institute, daughter of the fourth president of Indonesia and former hand model.
And you can call me also former artist if you want to.
No, that's right.
Even though I'm not.
She let the hand model thing go right by her. Okay, hot topic.
Okay.
Number one, justice. The verdict came in late in the day, just before Easter weekend. Neil Bentelman and Ferdinand Jong guilty of sexually abusing three boys at what was then called the Jakarta International School. The Canadian and Indonesian staff members got 10 years in prison each for a crime both adamantly deny committing. Family and supporters of the men say judges in the closed trial relied on weak evidence, cut the defense short, and ignored expert testimony. Now, reactions from the U.S., Canadian, and UK governments expressed concerns of credibility, lack of transparency. Was this a bad verdict? Many in the community seem to think so.
And that's really, you know, I would be one of the first in the front, row, making sure that justice is served, especially when it comes to pedophiles, especially when it comes to sexual abuse against children. A lot of us would be, especially for, mothers who really do care about their, not just mothers, of course, fathers as well, who do think that this kind of crime is atrocious, number one. However, in this case, here's the hardest thing. It's a universal problem, not just here in Indonesia, but around the world, that when it comes to cases of rape, sodomy and all of that, you need still two pieces of evidence. It's not, testimony itself is not enough. You need to have...
You need physical evidence.
You need physical evidence. And obviously when it comes to children, cases involving children, it's even more difficult because it's already difficult in the first place to get their testimony because they don't even know a lot of the times what happened
and we'll
to them.
talk about that medical evidence that some people say wasn't there. Okay.
Correct, yes.
Yenny, troubled by this at all?
Well, you see, when you say the reactions from the community, actually we're talking about two different communities here. Reactions by two different communities. When if you talk about the expat communities, of course, the reactions will be, appalled by the verdict.
One was Indonesian. One of the guys was Indonesian.
But I think from what I read, the local communities, the Indonesian communities, they feel that some even said that the sentence is not harsh enough. And for me,
I'm not among that. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm not amongst that.
Of course not, and we all not also. I'm not for that as well. But what I'm trying to say is that there is a failure in this case, I think, in this case, to handle the crisis from the very beginning, that it led to such a prosecutions by the public. So there is that issue as well.
Yes.
So this is more than just a case being tried in a court. Mm-hmm. This is a public's opinions plays a role as well.
It was almost us versus them kind of thing.
Yes, there is also a pressure against on the police as well. Yes, but
no. There's two groups. We have to lay that down. There's two groups. It's not just the two teachers, but five other people
and the janitors
who were
okay. Yes. Let's talk about this particular, about these two educators. Now, some possible issues that will be brought up in the appeal, which is ongoing. They're going to file it, or they have. Testimony about a so-called magic stone. You read about this in the media that was used in the abuse case, which was never produced in court. And one judge said during the trial, it was revealed later, that one of the educator's sex life was abnormal as a justification for what he did to the children because he and his wife had sex only once a week. I mean, these kind of things. And that's, he actually said that in court. Yeah, they said that, and that's why he did what he did. So this kind of, in any
That's
other
not
court,
even a justification for. And here's the thing. I just want to
How
straighten
would they
something.
know? How would
How do they know?
well, the guy said probably.
Okay, right. Well, I just want to straighten something out, first of all. That when I said that I don't support the verdict, not because about how long the sentence was, it's not even about how long the sentence was, but just the fact that there isn't. I get this from a forensic psychologist, from people who really have seen the case from beginning to the end. I've talked to them and I've asked for their opinion, and these are Indonesians who spoke on this. They're forensic, again, they know what it takes for a case to go
They
through.
deal with
And
science,
even they say that this should not have gone through because it's not beyond unreasonable doubt.
Yeah.
When we're talking about the law here in Indonesia, it's a little bit of a. What I don't like is if people use. There are certain people. There's a message now that's going through that people are using this as a case to send a message. And it's not even
what?
about getting the truth. It's about
The higher
saying,
end members of the community, the upper class,
no,
elites.
Well, that's
I
the
don't know what it
backdrop
is.
of the cases, in that in the sense that the GIS case was
on trial.
on trial. Yes,
Yeah.
simply because
Not
being
because-
being GIS, being whites, and because it also shows the a reflection of the income disparity in the society, the social class, whether we like it or not. It's actually there.
But a good number of
But-
Indonesians send their children there, not just foreigners.
That's true. It's true.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
a good number of rich Indonesians. So that's the thing. I mean, there's
I
also
see.
that
Okay. So it's not a
subtle-
racial thing. It's an economic.
It's economic
strata.
thing,
Okay.
yeah.
One backdrop talking about money is the ongoing civil case that's going on in parallel. One of the parents sued for $125 million in claims against the school.
went up from just 12.5
Exactly. So
million
some
to-
supporters of the convicted men say this is all about money and nothing else.
Of course, there would be some people who, when you see something like that, that's normal to think that. But I think it's also normal for any people who feel like victims' family to feel like they have a right to actually sue because of.
Yeah. And this will help their case now that they got
and all
conviction.
that.
It'll help the civil trial.
But
although they're
it's
supposed to be-
not convicted yet because it's
Well,
not
they're
over
convicted,
yet.
but there's an appeal.
That's
for it.
right.
Yeah,
So in
they are
Indonesian
convicted.
terms, you cannot call them the convicted felons. You cannot, not yet. This is from, again, lawyers and forensic psychologists and
They were pronounced
forensic-
guilty in court.
But because it's not the final verdict, you still cannot say that they are convicted.
And that's what...
Because there's already someone
and their
going
supporters
for
say
an
they're not
appeal.
guilty at all. Now, last point. If it were my child or any of our children, of course, we would want the harshest punishment. You may want to take
Absolutely.
it into your own hands if it's true. But the point is there are questions in this case about whether it was properly handled and properly adjudicated, and
Yeah.
that is what the point is.
And
Whether
my-
there's always two sides to the
And
story.
my final message, of course, as a legislator, is that we actually need better, system with the education system, as in the schools themselves. We need to ensure that they are a safe environment for our children. This can happen anywhere.
Yeah. And whether it did or not at this school, that's another question.
And another
Okay.
case has just come up at another school.
Okay.
So,
And the appeal in this case could take from 3 to 6 months. The men will remain in prison during that time. Hot Indo will continue shortly. Why there will be nearly as many Muslims as Christians by the year 2050. You're watching Hot Indonesia with Sarah, Yenny, and me. Here's hot topic number 2, growing faith. The latest report from the US-based Pew Research Center says by the year 2050, there will be nearly as many Muslims in the world as Christians. It's projecting a 73% growth rate for Muslims to 2.8 billion, just behind the 2.9 total Christians. Among the factors for that growth, increasing fertility rates, Yenny, youthful demographics, and number...
I like to say yes to that.
a number of conversions.
What is that you're about
And
to
you're
say?
adding to the Christian population soon, and that's why you're eating a sandwich,
we have
because she's
raised.
constantly hungry. That's
Sorry,
why.
I
Okay.
don't mean-
Right now, today, there are 1.6 billion followers of Islam, 2.2 billion Christians. The report is not surprising to me, especially coming in the land of the world's biggest Muslim population. Right? We see it growing every day.
Yes, and that has put a jeopardy to the government's programs of two kids enough
Do we have one like
Family
that?
planning.
We used
yes.
to have planning here, family planning
well,
program. During
here's
the
the
new order,
technically-
the government said that it basically mandated that every household is only
Two max.
needs to
In
have-
China,
yeah,
it's
2
one.
max.
Here, it's two.
Yes.
But now you went past that yourself.
Yes.
3 kids in 3 years.
Okay, no.
Citizen.
Okay, here's the thing. I went to Interparliamentary Union last week, which is why I couldn't make it here. But one of the things that we talked about was actually, family planning and the women parliamentarians and how the situation is with population growth, etc. And I'm actually going to Berlin next week, and at the G7, that's going to be one of the things that we're going to be talking about, population growth. And not to take away from the faith factor, but I think that you pointed on something very important. And one of the factors
is?
one of the biggest factors is the population growth. Again, we have a huge problem here in Indonesia in the fact that technically we still have family planning.
We need more entertainment.
But
But it's actually more
but-
than just population growth. There's also the rate of conflicts in prisons. Comfort is also another contributor.
Converts,
to that.
from other
Yeah.
religions. Also,
no, of course, yes.
Yeah, and the
Especially
youth
but-
factor. Let's talk
yeah.
about the youth factor. Okay, in 2010,
But
30.
I'm not done with the family planning thing.
No, but I got your point. Yeah,
No,
family. We're not planning well here.
No, do
is
you
what-
know? Do you know that in one of the, and this was brought up by Bangladesh when we were there. Do you know that in order to get family planning, you actually need to have spouse agreement?
Okay, let's.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's the thing.
I don't want to be surprised.
Imagine in our communities here what is happening, and this happened even in Philippines. Why they're having
They just
huge
surprise their
problem.
husband?
Because in Philippines it's even worse. The wives won't even take a shower so that the husband wouldn't sleep with them because they already have 5 kids and they're having trouble sending them to school and putting
Okay.
food on the table. And that's what's happening here in Indonesia is that the wife.
Not all Filipinos do that.
No.
Yeah,
But this
okay.
is what's happening, and it's a major issue there. They're having a huge issue with population control.
Oh, because
And
they're
here in-
Catholic too. That's why
Yes,
there's no birth
yes,
control.
yes.
Okay.
But
So
what I'm saying is,
in
here
many
in Indonesia,
religions, actually, this is not surprising. That there's that higher rate of that Islam is seen as the higher that religion with the highest rate of
Birth.
birth and also comforts and because some religions every religion actually has a message that appeals to certain segments in
Of
the
course.
society and
Yes.
at certain times and with Buddhism it's about peace and harmony with the environment and all that, and with Christianity it's about love and about giving your other cheek and all that.
Forgiveness.
With Islam it's about justice and equality. That's the big
Message.
the message that comes-
that's-
and that appeals to, I guess, to many people especially in a society where there are many segments of society that is still being discriminated against.
And that's true Islam, not the negative images that
The very radicals.
part of the world thinks about. Okay, a couple of stats, more factors why there are more Muslims, why Muslim the rate is growing. 34% of all Muslims under the age of 15. 34% of all Muslims under the age of 15. The global average is 27%. So they're a younger population. That's why there'll be more. Also, Muslims average 3.1 children per woman, which Yenny almost qualifies, and Christians at 2.7. So I mean, the birth rate is higher. So those things that contribute, and it makes sense that there'll almost be as many Muslims as Christians in 20, 35 years.
And there will be many issues that come out of that. The new demographic landscapes and the new societal dynamics will be very different. And I think before it actually reached that stage, the numbers actually level out to be that the numbers that we talked about. There are many issues that we need to talk about.
Yeah.
There are many
The bigger issues. Yeah.
And in some communities, and when you're talking about global, obviously, we have to put into perspective some, especially, I think in the Muslim, and please correct me if I'm wrong, in the Muslim faith, it's okay to have 4 wives. Right?
Multiple.
Up to
Not a number,
to.
but
some
That's what I've
communities,
heard.
some Islamic communities, but in my
Indonesia, by law,
in my
it's
community,
not, but-
Indonesia by law is not
Yes.
allowed to. In fact, civil servant, when they caught doing that, they might get demoted or even fired.
Country by
for
country.
that.
So you're saying that
and also
that's the
communities.
birthplace.
I'm just
Okay.
talking about global here.
And also, you know, our family is the biggest advocate of saying no to polygamy. For example, my mom goes around the countryside saying, giving
that's
voice
cool.
to women to be able to say no to the husband when the husband demands polygamy. So it really
Also
different.
say no to each night. If they, say no, we can say no. Anyway, I don't know what that means.
So anyway,
One last point.
cancel the thought, even if ever it enters your thought.
One last
your
point. One
mind.
last point. A report also says that by 2050, India will overtake Indonesia as the country with the most Muslims. Population
Different
growth.
dynamic.
That-
you know,
yeah,
given
that
the
is
fact-
Just huge population.
growth,
Okay,
yeah.
more hot Indo is ahead. Getting furious over movies in Indonesia.
Let's get to work.
Hey, Roman, you freaking out?
No.
Yes, you are.
Can somebody just walk me through what we're supposed to be doing?
You're watching Hot Indonesia from Jakarta. Hot topic number 3, movie madness.
Let's get to work.
Hey, Roman, you freaking out?
No.
Yes, you are.
Can somebody just walk me through what we're supposed to be doing?
The latest installment of the Fast Cars Hot Women series opened to huge ticket sales. Helping the box office draw was the tribute to actor Paul Walker. He died in an unrelated car crash during filming. The next weekend, this Indonesian blockbuster, the story of a charismatic political leader in the early 1900s during Dutch rule. This 2-hour, 41-minute movie is a historical biopic set in Surabaya with great attention to detail. The movie's hero influenced many future leaders, including a young Sukarno. Now, I've seen the trailer on the Indonesian movie. It looks as good as any historical Hollywood or Japanese film I've seen, like a Lincoln. Is Indonesian cinema on the upswing again, Sarah?
Okay, the quality is on the upswing. Unfortunately, the number of viewers is on the downswing.
Because of movies like Fast and Furious. Maybe they love
I
them.
don't think that necessarily. Here's the thing: if you're putting Cokro Aminoto and Fast and Furious next to each other, obviously in any community, Dalton, when you're putting like Lincoln next to Fast and Furious would win simply because people go to the movies to get entertained, not to get a history lesson.
True.
Mostly.
If you put it next to Pocong something or any Indonesian horror movies, then
the Pocong
maybe
would
there's a fighting chance.
And Pocong is like a ghost horror film in Indonesia, a very popular genre.
I didn't want to go into that, but okay.
I mean, the producer of Cokro Aminoto is Christine Hakim, a veteran actress, senior member, and somebody who believes in the quality of films. Who are the rising stars then of Indonesian cinema? After Sarah, retired.
Oh, funny.
Yeah. I mean, who are the big? Is it like?
No,
who are the hot
I'm not
names? Who are you
no
guys
compare.
hearing are the
I'm
big
not
stars
comparing.
coming?
the big stars coming.
Or on the rise? Like, is it still like Atika Hasiholan? Is she still a hot girl?
I think, well,
And her
maybe I'm a
husband?
bit biased because I do believe in a lot of the quality that a lot of the seniors, give to their filmmaking and their art. So I still look at even the older names, but I'm not talking about older as an age. I'm talking about those who have been in the industry for a while.
For example?
Reza Rahardian,
And he plays the title in Murufik.
Cokro Aminoto.
I always
then,
have a
of course,
fondness for Dian Sastro. I think she's
She's
quite
an
a
acting,
solid
but
actress.
she
She's coming
is-
back.
Yeah.
She's coming back.
Okay,
She's
a
coming
good
back.
friend of ours, actress
So
Dian
she's
Sastro Ordoyo.
back.
Okay,
She's back.
now let's real quickly, getting back to Furious 7, which is the big Hollywood, the biggest movie of the moment. Did you guys see that? You haven't seen it?
yet, not
Okay, you
yet,
got to
not
see it. A touching tribute to the actor who died at the end, right? Did you cry at the end a little bit?
Almost.
Really?
Almost.
I mean, it was very touching. They didn't kill off his character. Oh, did I say that on?
Oh, you did.
Is that a
Do
spoiler
not
alert?
scratch
I'm
that
sorry.
off.
Yeah, right. Yeah, well,
Edit it.
It's a nice tribute to him at the end because they
Okay,
knew
it's a very nice
he was
tribute.
only they were only halfway through filming when he died.
Yeah, I mean, if people are like already getting ready to leave, and those who already watched the movie,
they
like,
probably
once,
read the
they're like,
reviews. All right.
don't go yet.
You got to go see it again.
Okay, I will. I mean, it's like the kind of movies that my husband would drag me to
Yeah,
watch.
see, there you go.
It's
See,
a,
most
it's a
of
guy's
the,
movie.
Most of
so
the
it's-
guys would choose
And
that,
that's why
even though
then they go home and
they
they
could
have
be history buffs,
one more
but they would
child
still
and they
go
add
to
to the
see
birth rate. Okay.
Fast and Furious 7.
Yeah,
You
actually,
have to
that
put a
preceded
round
all
circle.
the birth of my
It's
three
arousing.
kids.
Okay. Feedback time. Please write to us, especially if you're watching on MHC Worldview in the United States. This email came to us from Fatri. Good news in English. Well, we're not trying to be good, Fatri, just honest. Thanks for writing. If you have any feedback on what you've heard or would like to suggest a topic for us to tackle, please email us at hotindo@theindonesiachannel.com or comment through our Indonesia Channel Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram pages. Final words, Yenny.
Residents of Jakarta had won a lawsuit recently in the Constitutional Court against city water operator Pamjaya and the government. The verdict mandates that the city government now manages the water for the people. Many people have argued that since the water was privatized almost 15 years ago, the Jakartans have to pay 10-fold more the price that we paid before it was managed by private firms. So with this momentum, I want to urge the city of Jakarta, the government, to start managing the water for the people again, and do not appeal the case. Do not appeal, even though you lost. And because many cities in the world have gone through the route of going back to the municipalities of managing the water for the people.
Yeah. Let's get clean water for everyone. Okay,
Yes.
final words,
Water, yes.
Sarah.
I want to again put a focus on the case by GIS at GIS, and there's actually more cases in other schools coming up. But the fact is this, obviously when it's involving children, all of us would get our emotions involved, we would get very emotional about it, and we definitely want to have justice served. However, that does not mean that we overlook the human rights of the defendants, of those who might actually not be guilty. So let's ensure that it's beyond reasonable doubt. And to ensure that, yes, the truth is what we're trying to get, and not simply because we want to send a message, not simply because we want to ensure that, hey, pedophilia, sex abuse is not okay in this country. But we want to ensure that, again, justice is served based on truth. That's the most important thing.
Okay, my final words. You know, maybe I said this before, the tougher things get, the smaller your circle of friends becomes. Don't forget who they are and who they aren't when things get better. And that is Hot Indonesia. For Sarah and Yenny, I'm Dalton Tanonaka. See you again next time.